Willow Creek is a Bigfoot movie written and directed by comedian Bobcat Goldthwait. Goldthwait has a genuine interest in Bigfoot, but you don't know him for that. You know him from his unique voice.
You know, in a lot of ways, I think we're a little bit alike. Sir, Merry Christmas.
Here, hold this.
Honey, I'm driving.
Just hold it.
We follow Jim and Kelly, who are filming their own Bigfoot documentary in Willow Creek, a town close to the film site of the famous Patterson-Gimlin footage. Jim straight up believes in Bigfoot. He has no doubt in his mind that Bigfoot is real, while Kelly, she has her doubts. The first part of the film, Jim and Kelly go around touring the town and interviewing everyone they can. It's a little slow, but if you're a fan of Bigfoot, there's some good stuff here.
Has there been any recent sightings of Bigfoot or Sasquatch in the area?
No, not to my knowledge.
Are you a believer?
Not at all.
One tourist trap that they go to is the Early Bird Restaurant, which is home of the famous Bigfoot burger. And they also have ammunition, 'cause why not? Inside the restaurant, we see a missing person poster. Remember that. It is important. Other than that, part of me thinks this whole movie was just made to promote the Bigfoot burger. They really seem to like it.
How is it?
Wow, this actually really good.
I only have one complaint about this scene, and it happens in every movie and show I've ever seen. When Jim takes a drink, they added a little sipping sound effect.
So let's see the Bigfoot.
I hate that. Every time I hear it, I know it's an effect, because the straw is full of soda, and that sound doesn't happen until the cup is empty. It's just a little pet peeve of mine, and now it'll bother you too. Bigfoot Books is the next location they go to, and they get an interview with Steve Strufert. The bookstore is actually just down the road from the Early Bird Restaurant, and Steve is the actual owner. He talks more about the history of the Patterson-Gimlin footage, the type of camera they would have used, but most importantly, he gives them directions to the original film site.
Tell me a little bit about the Patterson-Gimlin site and just how to get there, man.
Oh, well, you can take this road. I can show you on the map, and you go down that road. It's probably easier that way.
We get to hear an original song by real-life Bigfoot researcher Tom Yamarone called Roger and Bob Rode Out That Day. It's kind of nice to know they went out of their way to get people who are really involved, and not just actors.
Roger and Bob rode out that day.
They interview several more witnesses. Some are good storytellers, some aren't.
Yeah, so I was out in the woods with my dog Bella. She took off into the woods, and I called for her to stop, calling and nothing. You know, I kept calling, and then I started to get a little nervous because the sun was going down and it was starting to get dark, and I kept calling, and all of a sudden I heard this. She was growling and whimpering, and then she cut loose with this horrible growl, wail kind of. It was like a scream. When I got there, it was too late. She was dead.
The next morning, they set out to Bluff Creek to try to get to the original Patterson-Gimlin footage site. They set up camp in the woods, and at nightfall, we get into the second half of the film. This is the tent scene. This is the part where you either love it or you hate it. Here we get 18 minutes of Jim and Kelly listening for sounds in the woods. You might think that this is building suspense, You might turn the volume way up on the TV, listening for everything. Or you might think you're just watching two people stare off into the distance. The payoff here is there actually are sounds out in the woods. At first, it's just wood knocks, but eventually it escalates to whoops and howls. I looked it up, and Bobcat Goldthwait does all the Bigfoot sound effects in the movie. And they really are filming around Bluff Creek. So he's in the middle of the woods, at night, in Bigfoot country, doing wood knocks and whoops. That would be pretty scary for sure. We do eventually hear soft crying, which sounds more human than Bigfoot. You hear reports of Bigfoot whoops and howls, but never crying. It's not long before we hear something right outside the tent. Something smacks the tent. It's a pretty good jump scare. It got me.
Look at this. Did you see this?
Somehow, they make it through the night and decide to skip going to the film site and just get out of there. I totally get it. But Jim has to stop and get some hair samples from a tree. To be honest, I probably would stop too.
You don't think we got enough last night? Come on, let's go.
They walk all day, get lost, have no cell phone service, and on top of all that, they're starting to hear howls in the woods again. It's at that point I'm starting to get some serious Blair Witch Project vibes.
That is the tree that we just passed by 3 hours ago.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, Jim. It's the same fucking tree. What are you talking about? It's where you found the fucking hair and we stopped.
That's not the same
Yes,
tree.
I have it on the fucking film. We have it, Jim.
It's completely dark now, and all they have to defend themselves is a stick. Like that'll do anything against an 8-foot, 500-pound monster in the woods. In the last moments of the film, Jim and Kelly are running away from the sounds in the woods, and they find themselves face to face with a woman. Jim is injured pretty badly off camera and drug away. You hear Kelly screaming, and then the night is filled with Bigfoot howls. I was left with several questions that I had to look up. It turns out the woman in the end is the missing woman from the poster at the restaurant. Some people believe that Bigfoot kidnaps women and uses them as forest brides. You could use your imagination on that one. The Bigfoot killed Jim, and Kelly is the newest forest bride.
They shot some film of a Bigfoot bear. She walked on 2 legs and was covered in hair.
So, what do I think of Willow Creek? Well, I have to admit, I'm a little biased. I actually met Bobcat Goldthwait and the main actors at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference, and that's the only reason I know of this movie. But I'm glad I watched it. The actors carry the film well. They have a good dynamic as a couple. You can tell they really love each other, but they still argue a lot too. They filmed on location, which is beautiful. I think the tent scene is well done. There is a level of fear when you go out tent camping. There's only a thin layer of nylon to protect you from whatever's outside. But I would have liked to have seen even a glimpse of Bigfoot just to see what he looks like. And there are some scenes that are just there for filler. All in all, I give Willow Creek 2.5 Bigfoot burgers out of 4.
Roger and Bob went down in history.
I like his bangs.